announced 2 of the car plants we'll add third shifts to. And on the truck side is where we really felt like, and we feel like, as we look out here and see the prospect of relatively high fuel prices going forward, that's where we thought we ought to cut back capacity. So we announced 4 plants scattered throughout North America for eventual closure when their products run out over the next couple of years.
What's going to happen to all those trucks that people have bought?
Well, I think there'll be a big truck used car market. I mean, let's be honest. What we see happening right now is the prices, particularly for full-size SUVs in the used car market, have come down quite a bit, to the point actually that our dealers tell us that they do pretty well. They're able to buy and trade them so well that they're actually finding a pretty good source of profit. But I think over time, a lot of people who didn't really use all the functionality of a full-size SUV are converting over to things like crossover vehicles.
Because gas prices are up there, and therefore they want to have a more fuel-efficient transportation.
That, and the fact that the industry, including ourselves, are offering products which offer a lot of the features that SUVs offer, but in much more fuel-efficient and, let me say, consumer-friendly ways. Take, for example, the Buick Enclave. This has the same interior space as like a Chevy Tahoe, but obviously significantly better fuel economy. I think, driving characteristics that feel more car-like, a lot of features that we may not have always offered on SUVs. So, I think that's a good example of both consumers needing to switch for fuel economy, but also offering the kind of product that gets them excited about shifting rather than, oh, I have to give up a lot of the stuff I loved about my SUV. Hey, you can have this in a package that's a lot more fuel efficient.
Part of the $15.5 billion loss in second quarter, $3 billion of that had to do with one-time only cost having to do with labor contract, labor buyouts. Mm-hmm. What's the relationship today and forward in terms of your projections about the labor force and the relationship with the union?
Well, obviously, we've had a long and storied, I think, relationship with our major unions here in the U.S. And from time to time, it's been pretty tough relationship to working together pretty well. I would say over the last 5 years, we've worked together to confront what are challenging time for the industry, and really, made some huge changes in the structure of the agreements and the way we work. And I think very much done on a responsible basis by our unions and by ourselves to sort of make sure we fulfill our obligations to those who are retired and funding health care and pensions and things of that sort, but setting up our business so it has a chance to be competitive in the future. And so we've offered early retirement programs, we've worked with innovative approaches on post-retiree health care, and we've put within the plants a lot of work with our unions on improving productivity, quality, health and safety, these kind of things. So while certainly there are areas sometime that we still disagree on, by and large, the working relationship has been constructive and has been focused around the view that the best outlook we can offer for our workforce is a successful business. And if we don't have a successful business, it's not going to work for the workforce of the union. And I think our unions deserve a lot of credit for their willingness to sit down and work on tough issues.
How did you get them to do that?
Well, let's face it, we've had some significant losses. We've worked hard to talk about the business and the business realities that we face. Many of them have been in our business a long time too. They understand the issues. And we've gotten behind closed doors and worked out really, head to head some really tough issues. How can you fund a healthcare trust in a way that's satisfactory to the people you're trying to provide, but doesn't put an excessive amount of pressure on the cash balances of the company? Tough issues, things that not too many people have done before, to my knowledge. And so part of it is just sitting down and hashing through issues and being able to sort of take off some of the traditional rivalries or differences and say, we've got a problem here. What's important to you? What's important to us? Can we find common ground? And I think it's been impressive to see the kind of progress that has been made.
Those advantages kick in about 18 months in terms of the new contract.
Right, yes. We basically think in rough terms that we today are spending about $3 billion in cash and in income, more or less, that per year, that starting in 2010, assuming the trust gets approved, and we got some good news from the court the other day that we're still on track for that. Starting in 2010, we won't have to pay anymore. We have to put some more funding into the healthcare trust, and we've got some strategies to do that in a cost-effective way. But it substantively changes the financial performance of the company by sort of $3 billion virtually with the stroke of a pen. So it's a good example of the kind of thing that we needed to do in order to set up a structure of the company that can be competitive with particularly our non-U.S. based competitors in the future.
Okay, let me understand this about the automobile, and you've lived in it as a financial officer, and you've run many divisions, and you've had a wide experience here. Is the principal reason foreign cars have been so competitive in the global market cost or design or something else?
Yeah, I'm not sure you can, sort of depends on which vehicles you're talking about. A lot of the German luxury brands have obviously been successful on the basis of building a reputation based on technology and design, as opposed to necessarily being lowest cost. It's clear that, tough competitors for us have been the Japanese-based manufacturers, which I think, certainly came in on the basis of very low cost, and over time, several of them built very good quality reputations. And so it's fair to say as the U.S. market has opened up over the last, 25, 30 years, we've kind of been attacked from every angle. And so, it's hard to say sort of one thing or another has been the critical factor. But, I do note when we go and attack them, in most cases in their home markets, we've had a lot of success with a chance to come in with a new approach.
With the exception of Japan.
With the exception of Japan, which even today, interesting. It's just not just GM or the U.S. companies that haven't been successful in Japan. Still, here we are sort of 20 years after the market there has supposedly been opened up. About 4% market share is held by all imported products, and 96% is held by domestic manufacturers.
Trade.
Well, I think it's clearly, various kinds of trade barriers, which, the U.S. has tried to take those on in other countries, but the fact is that, again, here we are 25 years later, and it is unique because almost every other country, Fiat used to have 60% market share in Italy. VW had, huge market share in Germany. The local companies in India had huge market shares. Same thing in Russia. And as those markets opened up, perhaps the same companies are leaders, but the force of competition has reduced the industry share leader to usually more like 25 or 30%. But yet we haven't seen that same competitive dynamic in Japan. And I think today it's fair to say, so what is one's interest in spending a lot of money to go into that market? Hey, if you can spend money to go into Russia, to go into South America, to go into China, that looks like a better investment for your shareholders.
Okay, so you made that decision.